Good morning, good morning, good morning. How you guys doing? Oh man, I'm feeling good this morning, man. Comedian Leon the Jokester here. Good morning. It's an early podcast. We want to get it in. Let me clean up. Let me clean up and try to put things in order. You can see that I'm not doing so well if I'm eating stuffed crust pizza from yesterday for breakfast. And so, you gotta fake it till you make it. So I love stuffed crust pizza, man. I love stuffed crust pizza. Okay. Give me a second. It's early. Okay, let me get a little water. Okay, I think we're good now. Okay. So this morning, we'll be talking about healthy boundaries. Three areas we will focus on is family, of course. We'll focus on friendships. Got to talk about your friends. And we'll even talk about your foes. We'll even talk about, people out there that don't want to do right by you, man. They don't know how to keep healthy boundaries. And then we will also talk about church relationships, because there's boundaries there too. And first thing I like to always do is give you the definition of the word that we'll be discussing today. And so today, the word is boundary. Boundary. I know you've heard before, man, you need some better boundaries. You need some healthy boundaries. And it's true. It's true. In society, we do need a what's the definition? It's a line that marks limits on a particular area. It's a line that marks limits. It places limitations on a particular area. And so once a person crosses that line, now they're in your private space. They're in your area. And this could be very uncomfortable. This could be very, very uncomfortable. And so, so basically, let me start with family first. Okay. You have to set boundaries even with your family. You do. Anyone that's tuning in right now, you already know there's some family members that like to cross the line. And it's sad because you're like, wow, man, you're my family, you're my blood. And why is it that you can't just do right? Why is it that you have to come so close and try to do what you want? Because what happens is people will place themselves upon you beyond despair. It's like, it's just too much. So sometimes you have to have space. Sometimes you have to give people their space so then they can be able to have a healthy boundaries even with you. Okay, so I'll give you an example. Like right now, I have family members in St. Louis, and my family that's in St. Louis, nobody's talking to each other. I mean, like I have 4 uncles, 4 aunties, and nobody's talking to each other, like amongst themselves. It's like they all had so much trauma growing up. They all went down so many different pathways that they're all going down the different lanes, different direction. And it's just really sad because you're in your 60s, 70s, and you guys still can't talk to each other. Like you're about to be in the cemetery if you don't. If you know what I'm saying, 80, 90 years old, it's like, what's next? The cemetery. So it's like, why can't you guys just get along? Why can't you go have some coffee? Why can't you just go to Starbucks and just have a healthy conversation? And that's the issue, is that people don't know how to communicate anymore. We're always on our phones. I was walking my dog and a guy, walked right past me, face down on the phone. Back in the day, if somebody's walking in your direction, you staring at them, they staring at you, so you can greet, or so you don't know. So that's why at the end of the day, it's like the world has changed. People change. Like the mindset's different. So the advice I have for you when it comes to your family is try your best to just be as respectful as you can and just give people their space. That's all I can tell you. That's the best advice I can tell you is give people their space. There's family members I would love to talk to today, but because they how can I say it? Like if someone in your family has issues, if you're not careful, they'll try to roll their issues into your life. Now, if you are a peacemaker, such as myself, I'm all about peace. I don't have any time for confusion. So there's family members that want to just cause confusion all the time. There was one that lied on me one time and said, you're keeping your son from us, so we can't see your son. I was like, that's a lie. If you look right here, your number is saved in the phone. But you got to understand, my son is only 11 years old. You can't call him at 10 p.m. when his bedtime's 8:30 p.m. So you got to set those healthy boundaries, even for family members in another state. And so it is what it is. Okay, so the next one is number 2 is friendships. Friendships. Now, first of all, before we get into friendships, right, you have to understand you have to set boundaries, healthy boundaries at the beginning of the friendship. Because if you don't, your friends will always think and assume it's okay to do whatever they want to do. And that's not okay. And so I'll give you an example. I live in a neighborhood, really nice suburban neighborhood. And so I have neighbors that have healthy boundaries with me. And then I have neighbors that have unhealthy boundaries with me. The neighbors that have healthy boundaries with me, I can literally walk outside at any given time and they'll see me, they'll wave, they'll say, Leon, how are you doing? And they will speak. Oh my goodness, they're so nice. And I'll say, hey, how's it going, guys? And then they'll just drive off or they'll just keep sitting outside and just chilling. Then I have unhealthy neighbors, which their boundaries are out of control. Because I guess when they were in their 30s or 40s, they had lots of money. So when you live in a world where it's like, if your mindset was like, yo, I have lots of money, people need to acknowledge me. If you live like that, if you transform your mindset into that type of mindset, 30 years from now, when you're in your 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90 years old, you're going to have that stuck in your mind because our minds are all about repetition. So then what happens is this, if you like famous people, if people are screaming your name, wanting your autograph, wanting pictures in your 20s and your 30s, and that fades away in your 40s, when you get older, you would think that it's still about me, myself, and I. Like you can't even go outside without people having to acknowledge you. And it's sick. It's a sick mindset. It's toxic, bro. It's very toxic because you will ruin friendships in your neighborhood. And this is the reason why a lot of people are dying alone. And a lot of people in the neighborhood are just sitting, wasting away. I hate to say it, but they are literally wasting and dying away. Why? Because they messed up a lot of relationships. See, they don't think you know that. Because we live all in this little apartment in the suburbs. Like, nah, you could just look at a person and say, wow, you have so much prestige, but why is it that nobody comes to visit you? What happened to your friends? You know what I'm saying? Like you had thousands of dollars. You showed me you had Rolex watches. You traveled the world, eating at every fancy restaurant. Now it seems like you're homeless. You know what I'm saying? And I realized something about wealthy people. Some wealthy people won't let you know that they're wealthy. They'll play like, oh, we're just trying to get by because they don't want people to know how much money they have. There's other people that they will try to use other people because they don't want to spend their money. So they'll play this role of like, oh, I'm broke, I'm poor. And you have to be careful because someone can tell you that they're poor, but it's different levels to it. Like if I have $100,000 and then I go down to $75,000, I may tell people I'm poor because I'm no longer in the six figures. I'm at 75K. If I used to make 75K a year and then all of a sudden I don't have anything but maybe 30,000 to my name, I'll tell people I'm poor, but I got 30K in the bank. You see what I'm saying? So you have to understand, like, this thing is serious, bro. Like, You got to have healthy boundaries with people because people tell you all kinds of stories. People will lie to you. So back to what I was saying about neighbors. So I have healthy neighbors, neighbors that, like, they watch my dog, they care about my family. Anything we need, they're there. Anything I need, they're there. Anything they need, we're there. And that's cool. That's healthy. They set healthy boundaries, right? But then there's other neighbors that are just annoying. Like, they always, like, if they sit, you regret you gave them your phone number, because if they send you a text, they feel like you're obligated to have to text back. This is my phone, my life. I don't have to text you back. You know what I'm saying? I'm not keeping tabs. You're not keeping tabs on me. I'm a grown man. There's people that will manipulate you. They'll say, "Oh, can you do this for me?" But then what they're really trying to do is get you into their home, so then you could sit there for 2 or 3 hours as they gossip about people, or just talk about me, myself, and I. Oh, when I was young, I did this. When I was young, I did that. When I did this, I did that. And before you know it, you're like, wow, you didn't mention one thing about my career or anything that you was talking about outside. That's how they treat you. Because what people would do, lonely people do stuff like this, and it's very unhealthy. When they see you, they already know what you're about. If I'm a comedian, so they're like, oh, he's on tour, he's traveling, he's meeting people, he's at the airport, it's all official. So when they see you in passing, they may say, oh man, how was the trip? How was this? Just to kind of wheel you in. It's like the bait that act like they care. Once you get inside their home, helping them get stuff in or do whatever, and they start talking, they may ask you one more time within 5 seconds, how was the comedy? And then as soon as you try to respond, they're cutting you off. And then they'll start going into what they want to talk about. Oh, my body hurts. We'll stop eating fast food and greasy foods. Oh, I'm broke. I'm poor. Go get a part-time job. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to understand there's people that you got to recognize why people are alone. Like, I know one couple, they're old, right? They're like in their 80s or 90s. And there's a guy that used to come over and visit with them. And he was in his 80s. But I noticed that they said they haven't seen him in like 2 years. The reason why is because he realized, wow, he's very mobile, by the way. He still drives and everything. He said, every time I come over here and sit with them, they're negative. They should be in a nursing home now. Every time I come over, they're very, very negative. It's all about the weather's bad. The pollen's bad. My body's bad. I'm broke. There's no money. We're bad. The economy's bad. COVID's bad. Everything is bad, right? That's the mindset that they've developed. So the older guy, who was like mid 80s or something, he started coming over because he realized that, man, I'm in my 80s. I want to enjoy the last 10, 20 years of my life. I don't want to be sitting around with people that don't be negative. You got to understand that. Whatever your mindset is when you're young, if you continue on with that, it's going to go into your senior citizen years. It's going to go into your senior citizen years. So you got to be very careful, and you got to set those boundaries. So my boundaries now is, in my neighborhood, if I recognize you as a good neighbor, then I salute. But if I recognize you as a unhealthy, you can't keep healthy boundaries as a neighbor, then I have to go the opposite way. Like, there's times where I just want to go outside and spend some time with the Lord and my dog and just enjoy the weather. Here comes the annoying neighbors, unhealthy boundaries. They stop the car. Leon, I need you to do this, that, and the other. It's all about them. And I'm like, wow, you didn't even ask me if I'm having a good or bad day. Somebody could have died in my family. All you care about is yourself. It's selfishness. And when people are selfish, they die alone. I kid you not. If you are a selfish person, you will die alone unless you ask God to help change those ways. Okay? All right. So I hope you learned something today, man. Healthy boundaries. You got to have healthy boundaries. There's a friend, he's a former friend. He had unhealthy boundaries. He wanted too much. He wanted me to call him every Sunday at 7 p.m. And I was just like thinking to myself, like, I'm not calling you every single Sunday for the next 30 years, bro. You know what I'm saying? Then I start finding out he's talking about Jesus in one breath. Then he's riding around the city with a gun in his car. And I'm like, no, that doesn't add up. Like, I understand we live in America. We have our license to carry and all that nonsense. But the reality check is you should be trusting in Jesus with the full armor of God on. If you got to ride around with a gun in your car, you about to go to prison, bro, because you're going to end up in a situation where you're going to have to use that gun, and it's not going to go well when the police arrive. It's not going to go well. I promise you. So with that being said, I had to get rid. Now I hate to say get rid of. I had to release him. That's the word. Release. Not get rid, but release. It's a different R word. So I didn't get rid of him. I had to release him back into society so he can meet new people and build healthier boundaries and friendships. But far as my friendship is concerned, I was there for him. I went above and beyond for him, spent lots of money on him, fed him, like we cared for him. But when we realized and recognized that other people can jeopardize my life, like if you take me to a show and you got a gun in the car and I don't know that, and the cops pull us over, guess who's going to jail? The both of us. And then the fact that I'm blind and I can't drive your car if they just lock you up. So that means I got to get in the back of the cop car. So when I start recognizing situations like that, that told me real fast, I got to move around. God will give you wisdom on who to release. And I had to release him. I didn't want to, because that was my boy. That was my road dog. We went to shows together. We did everything together. But when you start putting me in a situation where I could be locked up and I won't see my wife and son again, you ain't thinking. You on a whole nother level. So with that being said, and then the fact of the matter is, people that don't have healthy boundaries and friendships, they'll act like everything's all good. They'll blame you for a change, and they'll say, "Oh, he changed. He don't want to be my friend anymore. He's fake." No, I had to wise up. I talked to God. I talked to my wife and my son. I said, "Hey, is it okay if I ride in the car to a comedy show with someone that has a gun under their seat instead of in the closet?" Because my thing is, if you get a gun, if it's for protection, it should be in your closet, bro. So if someone breaks in, then you run, if you got time, to get to the closet and get the gun to protect yourself, because it was a break-in, home invasion. But you riding around the city with a gun underneath your seat, that's a whole nother ball game. Because he told me a situation. He told me a story. See, that's the thing about the Bible. The Bible talks about the spirit and the flesh, Romans chapter 8. So your flesh, if you're not careful, it will tell on you. And he accidentally told on himself and said, "Hey, there was a white guy. He had a gun. He showed me the gun." Then what I did was I pulled out my gun and showed him. And then I was scared and I just sped off. My thing is this: why did you have a gun in your... See, I'm done with it. That's what I'm talking about. The boundaries, unhealthy. My record is clean. My record is squeaky clean. I ain't never been to jail, never been to prison, never smoked weed, never done a drug a day in my life, never drank alcohol. Like, bro, I've been on the straight and narrow as an African American in America because I've seen too many documentaries. Black people killed because they in the streets or they in the clubs and man, bro, I'm not playing with America, bro. I'm gonna see old age as long as people drive safe and so. Like, I'm not getting caught up, bro. I'm even thinking about cutting my hair because I don't want to be mistaken for some other person, because this is a popular hairstyle right now. You know, I may have to go bald, you know, so they know I'm a old black man. But yeah, man. So yeah, healthy boundaries, man. Just that's all I wanted to say today. Good, healthy boundaries. Make sure that, you know, you ask people. If you're in a friendship, you talking to family members, ask them, like, "Hey, man, how's the boundaries? Like, you know, am I crossing the line? Are you doing something that's kind of making me feel uncomfortable?" People don't have that type of dialogue anymore. They just keep going through life and acting like everything's all good, and it's not always all good. When people start ignoring you, or when people go the opposite way, you need to ask yourself, did I do something wrong? Is something going on in my life? Because sometimes the selfish person can't see themselves. So it'll be other people that have to say, "Hey, I'm cool on that person because it's out of control." So yeah, so that's the word for the day. Healthy boundaries, man. Hope you guys learned something. I'm out.